Greetings, this is Brother Eli with another episode of Bible Truth Revealed. Today's teaching is entitled, The Mark of the Beast Decoded. That is, the mark of the beast decoded. The doctrine of the mark of the beast is unique to the Christian New Testament. It has absolutely nothing to do with the Holy Scriptures, which Christians call the Old Testament. As such, for those of us who reject the so-called New Testament, the mark of the beast is not a concern. It is simply a dubious idea written in a fictitious book. Nevertheless, for those who wish to gain a greater understanding of this subject, I will explore it in this teaching. Over the years, many people have speculated that the mark of the beast is social security numbers, barcodes, credit cards, the COVID-19 vaccine, RFID chips, bitcoins, and the more recent palm payment system. Apart from this, there are Christian groups that teach that the mark of the beast is Sunday worship, meaning going to church on Sundays instead of Saturdays. Meanwhile, Hebrew Israelite camps constantly quarrel about the nature of the so-called mark of the beast. Some say it is a microchip that will be implanted under the skin. Others insist that it is sin, which is breaking the commandments of the Most High. Before we even go to the book of Revelation, it is important to know that it was written by pagans who heavily plagiarized from the Holy Scriptures, then twisted the message to lead unsuspecting readers away from the truth. That alone is reason to reject the mark of the beast doctrine, because the mark of the beast does not exist. For specific examples of ideas plagiarized from the Holy Scriptures and corrupted by the pagans who slapped together the book of Revelation, please listen to my teaching entitled, The Book of Revelation Deception. That is, the Book of Revelation Deception. Today's teaching will be divided into 3 parts. Part 1, the mark of the beast is a deception. Part 2, the importance of protecting ourselves. And Part 3, the mark of the Most High is what truly matters. Part 1, the mark of the beast is a deception. Revelation chapter 13, verses 16 to 18. That's Revelation chapter 13, verses 16 to 18 in the King James Version of the Christian Bible says, And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. It must be reiterated that there are no original ideas in the so-called book of Revelation. It was all plagiarized from other sources. So let's have a look at where the idea for the mark of the beast was stolen from. This is 3 Maccabees chapter 2, verses 28 to 29 in the Apocrypha. That 3 Maccabees chapter 2, verses 28 to 29, and it reads thus, that entrance to their own temple was to be refused to all those who would not sacrifice, that all the Jews were to be registered among the common people. So the Greeks were forcing the Jews to be registered among the common people. They were forcing the Jews to mix with them and to be counted as them. that those who resisted were to be forcibly seized and put to death. So any Jew or Israelite that resisted the registration was to be seized and put to death. Verse 29, that those who were thus registered were to be marked on their persons by the ivy leaf symbol of Dionysus, and to be set apart with these limited rights. So those Jews or Israelites who agreed to be part of the common people, who decided to mix with the Greeks, were to be registered and marked on their persons by the ivy leaf symbol of Dionysus. This is where the idea comes from for the mark of the beast. Those who agree with the system received a mark to show that they were part of the system. They were part of the Greek system. And those who refused to take this mark were put to death. Taking the mark was required to operate in Greek society. Without the mark, you could not buy, sell, or do any kind of business. You were simply imprisoned and executed. This is where the idea of the mark of the beast was stolen from. It is not original to the book of Revelation. Yet because most people are ignorant of this fact, the oppressor has recycled the idea and used it very effectively to control the masses. The book of Revelation is the oppressor's playbook. First, he wrote it, and then he tried to make it come to pass. Furthermore, when we read about the destruction of the earth and the sea in the book of Revelation, we should not be surprised, because this destruction is being caused by the same people that wrote the book. They're working hard behind the scenes to make their fake prophecies come to pass. To be perfectly clear, the same people who prophesied that the earth would be destroyed are the ones who are destroying the earth today. They are poisoning the air, burning down the forests, and killing the fish in the sea. They have been destroying the planet since they first arrived not too long ago. Every other race of people appreciates and cares for the natural environment. But the oppressor has come to steal, kill, and destroy, just like he wrote in his stupid book. Similarly, the oppressor intentionally designs technology that others have been conditioned to think is the mark of the beast. And then they pressure the world to embrace this new technology. This sends the masses into panic mode. People are easier to control when they are full of fear. So it is important for the oppressor to keep the masses believing that the mark of the beast is here. Anyone who, because of fear, refuses to submit to these new pieces of technology soon finds it practically impossible to operate within the changing society. More specifically, those who refuse to accept social security numbers, barcodes, credit cards, the COVID-19 vaccine, RFID chips, bitcoins, or the more recent palm payment system, constantly find it increasingly more difficult to buy or sell as society continues to evolve. Many people who first rejected social security numbers have now accepted them. Those who were wary of barcodes and credit cards now accept them as a necessity when buying or selling most products or services. Soon, more and more people will accept the COVID-19 vaccine, RFID chips, bitcoins, and the palm payment system. However, None of these things is a mark of the beast spoken of in the book of Revelation, because the book of Revelation is a work of fiction and the mark of the beast does not exist. Nevertheless, the oppressor continues to prey on the fear of the masses, because every new generation finds ways to apply the book of Revelation to their own time, and they continue to claim that new pieces of technology are the mark of the beast. For more evidence that the prophecies of the book of Revelation have already failed and thus are false prophecies, please listen to my teaching entitled, Is Revelation Happening Today? That is Revelation happening today? Revelation chapter 13 verse 18 says, Here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast. For it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. This verse is also designed to distract unsuspecting people who focus on trying to discover the identity of the Antichrist rather than on what truly matters. It specifically says that if you have understanding, you should count the number of the beast. So there's this obsession with the number 666. The more that people obsess over the Antichrist and the meaning of 666, the less likely they are to learn about the mark of the Most High and the importance of having it. Just like there has been much speculation about the mark of the beast, there has also been a lot of debate about the identity of the Antichrist. In the New World Encyclopedia, under the heading Antichrist or Antichrist and subheading Identity, quote 1 says this: The numbers 666 or 616 are associated with the Antichrist. According to Revelation chapter 13 verse 18, the Jewish practice of gematria, in which letters are assigned numerical values and other numerology techniques, are used to calculate the numeric value of a name in attempts to confirm the identity of the Antichrist. So all of these numerology techniques are used to work out from people's names whether it's possible that they are the Antichrist. If the value of the letters of someone's name add up to 666, that person is said to be a potential candidate for the Antichrist. Quote number 2. Many popes have been called the Antichrist by their enemies, and many popes have applied this title of Antichrist, son of perdition, or man of sin to their enemies as well. So there are lots of people who have accused the popes of being the Antichrist, and in return the popes have accused lots of people of being the Antichrist. So there's a lot of name calling in Christianity because of Revelation chapter 13 verse 18. Quote number 3 says, In response to the identification of the papacy as Antichrist, a Catholic view was advanced beginning in the 16th century of a personal Antichrist to come just before the end of the world and to be accepted by the Jews and enthroned in the rebuilt temple of Jerusalem. This interpretation in modified form is now accepted by most premillennial dispensationalists. What this is saying is that because so many popes have been called Antichrist, the Catholic Church created a doctrine where now there's only one Antichrist. One Antichrist that's supposed to come just before the end of the world. Before the Catholic Church invented this doctrine, Christianity taught that there were many antichrists, just like it says in 1 John of the New Testament. But because of the name calling, in order to remove that stigma from the Catholic Church, they created the idea of one antichrist. And everybody's looking for this one antichrist. So to reiterate, the modern idea of a personal antichrist that would come just before the end of the world originally came from the Roman Catholic Church. As Protestant churches come from the Roman Catholic Church, they also teach this Roman Catholic doctrine because they're all the same. They're all Christians. Righteous Israelites have no good reason to believe such nonsense. Leave it to the Christians to buy into this rubbish. As we can clearly see, there is a lot of speculation, not only about the mark of the beast, but also about the identity of the Antichrist or Antichrist. None of this speculation and name calling is supported by the Holy Scriptures. However, if there was a real Antichrist, the evidence overwhelmingly points to only one person. The identity of this individual is revealed in my teaching entitled, "The Truth About the Antichrist in the Last Days." That is, the truth about the Antichrist in the last days. Part 2. The importance of protecting ourselves. Although the book of Revelation is a work of fiction, there is no good reason to allow anyone to mark our bodies or to inject harmful substances into us. In recent years, a huge portion of the population has allowed the oppressor to inject questionable substances into their bodies. Since then, there has been a significant increase in the number of apparently healthy individuals suffering from heart attacks and unexpected death. This is a warning for the rest of us. Just because the mark of the beast is not real does not mean that we should throw caution to the wind and allow the oppressor access to our bodies. On the website of the British Heart Foundation, www.bhf.org.uk, there is an article entitled "Sudden Arrhythmic Death Syndrome." Quote 1 says this: "Sudden arrhythmic death syndrome, or SADS, is when someone dies suddenly following a cardiac arrest," that's a heart attack, "and no obvious cause can be found." Allowing harmful things to be put into our bodies is one way to die suddenly. Those who poison us would never admit that our death is their fault. They simply state that no obvious cause can be found. Quote number 2 says, "You may also see sudden arrhythmic death syndrome, or SADS, being called sudden adult death syndrome. There was a time when there was no such thing as sudden adult death syndrome. However, since many adults opted to allow a certain substance to be injected into their bodies, we keep hearing about sudden adult death syndrome. In plain English, there has been a significant increase in perfectly healthy adults suddenly dropping dead in recent years. This is not a coincidence, but don't take my word for it. Research it for yourself. Those of us who serve the Most High only and keep His commandments do not have to worry about the mark of the beast. However, we must have enough common sense to not allow anyone to inject or implant harmful substances into our bodies. For those who are still wondering whether it would be a good idea to have microchips implanted in their bodies, let me make it perfectly clear. It is never a good idea to give your enemy that much access to your body. Whether it is signing up for facial recognition, having a microchip in your finger, or allowing your palm to be read as a form of identification, that is giving too much power to the oppressor. When the time comes for us to lay low, it would be impossible to do so if we have face and palm readers identifying us whenever we enter a shopping mall. Also, if we have tracking devices implanted in us, there is no way we can avoid persecution when the time comes, because we will be easily found. The righteous remnant of Israel must exercise wisdom and not become sitting ducks for our enemies. Part 3. The mark of the Most High is what truly matters. We can learn about the mark of the Most High in the book of Ezekiel chapter 9. So I will read Ezekiel chapter 9 from the Brenton Septuagint translation. It says this: "And he cried in mine ears with a loud voice, saying, The judgment of the city has drawn nigh. And each had the weapons of destruction in his hand." So on Judgment Day, there are weapons of destruction that are used to judge the people. "And behold, 6 men came from the way of the high gate that looks towards the north, and each one's axe was in his hand." So the weapons of destruction are axes, and there was one man in the midst of them, clothed with a long robe down to the feet, and a sapphire girdle was on his loins. And they came in and stood near the brazen altar. And the glory of the God of Israel that was upon them went up from the cherubs to the porch of the house. And he called the man that was clothed with the long robe, who had the girdle on his loins, and said to him, "Go through the midst of Jerusalem, and set a mark on the foreheads of the men that groan and that grieve for all the iniquities that are done in the midst of them." So those that receive the mark of the Most High are those that groan and grieve with heaviness because of the iniquities or the wickedness or the sin that is being done in the midst of them. Verse 5. "And he said to the first in my hearing, Go after him into the city, and smite," that means kill, "and let not your eyes spare, and have no mercy. Slay utterly old man and youth, and virgin, and infants, and woman, but go ye not nigh any on whom is the mark. Begin at my sanctuary." So anyone that does not have the mark of the Most High is put to death, and it starts at the sanctuary. So they began with the elder men who were within, in the house. And he said to them, "Defile the house, and go out and fill the ways with dead bodies, and smite, kill all of them that do not have the mark of the Most High." And it came to pass as they were smiting, that I fell upon my face and cried out, and said, "Alas, O Lord, wilt thou destroy the remnant of Israel in pouring out thy wrath upon Jerusalem?" But the Most High will never destroy the righteous remnant. That's the key. The righteous remnant are those that grieve and groan and mourn because of the iniquities of our people. The righteous remnant are those that will receive the mark of the Most High and will not be destroyed. So again, alas, O Lord, wilt thou destroy the remnant of Israel in pouring out thy wrath upon Jerusalem? Then said he to me, the iniquity of the house of Israel and Judah is become very exceedingly great, for the land is filled with many nations, and the city is filled with iniquity and uncleanness. Because they have said, the Lord has forsaken the earth, the Lord looks not upon it. Therefore mine eye shall not spare, neither will I have any mercy. I have recompensed their ways upon their heads. And behold, the man clothed with the long robe, and girt with the girdle about his loins, answered and said, I have done as thou didst command me. So the Most High was so angry and disgusted by the iniquities that the Israelites were committing, that he commanded the slaughter of a great number of them. What was the iniquity that caused him to destroy so many of his people? We can find that in the previous chapter, Ezekiel chapter 8. I will read verse 1, verses 9 to 10, and verse 18. That's Ezekiel chapter 8, verse 1, verses 9 to 10, and verse 18. It reads thus: And it came to pass in the 6th year, in the 5th month, on the 5th day of the month, I was sitting in the house, and the elders of Judah were sitting before me, and the hand of the Lord came upon me. Verse 9. And he said to me, Go in and behold the iniquities which they practice here. So I went in and looked, and beheld vain abominations, and all the idols of the house of Israel portrayed upon them round about. The Most High hates idolatry. Idolatry is the reason why so many Israelites were put to death. Every Israelite that refuses to serve the Most High only will be put to death when he returns. Every Israelite who worships Jesus, the false god and idol of our Christian slave masters, will be slaughtered. Also the Christianites will be destroyed for serving idol shy instead of serving the Most High only. Every Israelite that worships a God that is not the Most High God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob will be put to death. There will be no mercy. There will be no exceptions made. They will be completely destroyed because of their iniquity in worshiping and serving someone other than the Most High. He is a jealous God, and on the day of judgment we shall see his jealousy when the weapons of destruction are used to slaughter idolaters. Verse 18. Therefore will I deal with them in wrath. This is the Most High speaking. Mine eye shall not spare, nor will I have any mercy. Thus saith the Most High. In conclusion, the so-called book of Revelation is a Christian deception that was written to corrupt the message of the Holy Scriptures, which Christians call the Old Testament. The mark of the beast is not Sunday worship. It is not sin, and it is not a microchip or any of the technological devices that continue to be forced onto society. These are simply Christian and Christian-like doctrines that try to make sense of the lies in the fictitious book of Revelation. Righteous Israelites need to focus on serving the Most High only and keeping His commandments. That is what truly matters. It is the righteous remnant of Israel who hate unrighteousness and idolatry that will ultimately be saved. We are the ones that groan and grieve because of the iniquities of our idolatrous people. And with that I say, Shalom.